cabin.
Hey friends, how's it going? Well, welcome back. It's that time of the week again, I know, right? Well, it's a beautiful day. It's extremely clear, but it's very windy. So if you hear anything falling down, breaking, or the gusts of wind outside, then that's the reason why. I think we have a Santa Ana wind event this morning. We've been having it since earlier this morning, but there was no wind yesterday or yesterday evening or all night for that matter. I was up pretty late watching classic films on YouTube. Yeah, I had started watching one called, I think, Love is News with Loretta Young, Don Amici, and Tyrone Power. Not in that order. I mean, top billing was Tyrone Power, of course, and Young and Don Amici. But anyways, big fans of Don Amici. I really like his acting. He's funny. Oh my gosh, he makes me laugh so hard sometimes. Great banter. It's fun. It's a screwball comedy, kind of romantic comedy. But anyway, it's on YouTube. Check it out. I'll leave a link actually in the description so you can, for those who like classic black and white film, definitely check it out. So, what do we got going on here? We have CT Ham number 2 Cold Blast. Not a rare lantern by any means. It's a beautiful cold blast, but you know, the globe. This lantern I acquired with a number 1 cold blast of the same style and era from John Chittum last year. That's right. But the rare part of this lantern is the globe it wears. So, excuse me, right there. See that? Ham matchless. Ham's cold blast matchless. Yeah, nice strong strike. Now don't worry, this globe is flashed, which means the color is applied to the inside of the globe. So the chance of glass cancer or sick glass, as it's called, is very minimal. However, still burning it on the low side, not very high, but look at that flame. Look at that flame. See, it doesn't move? It doesn't move. Do you see it moving or flickering at all? Nope, not at all. That's the beauty of this double wall baffle. This is a patented Ham design right here. See that little baffle? Those little vents? Yeah. Little arches. CT Ham, wonderful company, created and designed some beautiful lanterns. Now by 1900, this is pretty much the standard design for their cold blast lanterns, and through the later years, they kind of changed a little bit. But they eventually went to a dome fount, larger fill cap, and by 1914 they were done. They were bought out and consumed by Dietz because Charles Trafton Ham's son, well, he died, I think, in 1910 or 1912, so right around there. And then his son took over the company, and then he passed away in 1913 or 14, somewhere around there. And then Dietz bought out the company and dissolved it and continued with a few of the CT Ham names, like the Gem, the Clipper, yeah, and then the Crescent or the Safety. But yeah, they continued to carry some of the names later on, that is, after consuming CT Ham. But this is a genuine CT Ham lantern, 1900 to 1902, right around there. The patents, and the last patent is about 98, 99, right around there. So it's the same era as my Dietz Blizzard, my first generation or early second generation. Anyway, this globe is beautiful, and I just acquired it this last week. So yeah, and it looks good. I think it's going to live in this lantern. I do have the number 1 size cold blast, which is the mate to this. And it might go in that, I don't know. But I have a deal working out with a friend and collector friend. It's Robert Emerson. He wants a ruby flashed Ham's matchless globe. I have a spare. This one's my favorite, so I'm going to let the other one go to him. He's going to send me a clear Ham's cold blast matchless globe. That'll go into the number 1, or I can see which one fits the best. Anyways, fun stuff. Trading can be a lot of fun and make 2 people very happy. Yes, indeed, it works. So, with that being said, we're going to put this guy back here because we're going to bring the star of the show up to the stage, or the bench as it's called. That guy's going to be sitting back there. So check this out. You saw a sneak peek of it last week. And that's right. It's the CT Ham number 20 Beacon or Searchlight. Yeah, Beacon was a trademark of Dietz, but this is a Searchlight. It's kind of big, right? It's a big deal. This thing. So you remember the condition it was in when I showed it to you last week. It had a bunch of surface rust down here, and this was kind of bent. There was a dent here. It's still a little kink. but I straightened it out, so it's pretty much round. Look at that tin. Yeah, polished up a bit. Polished up nice. But this is a beautiful piece. It's really nice. This dark stuff up here, yeah, you guessed it, blue Japanning. Blue Japanning. There's some on the back of the air tube, because this, you'd think this is a handle. You could use it as a handle. Yeah, why not? But it's the air tube. This is a cold blast lantern. And that's tin. All original tin plate. That's right. And there's still traces of blue Japanning on the reflector. Yeah. On the back. Not a whole lot, but it's there. And it's definitely more focused on this tube, the draft tube here, and the chimney, or the baffle, and the crown. But yeah, number 20, searchlight. It's a beautiful piece. Now, you think that thing burns well? Well, brother, you ain't seen nothing. Now, this is a pin lift. However, the pin, I believe, is broken. And I'll show you. So you're supposed to lift this up, and it's supposed to click. Well, it looks broken. Well, focus. There you go. See? I'm dealing with a lack of light out here. Yeah, it wants to focus on my face. Let me get out of the frame. There you go. See? It looks like it snapped off there, because there's supposed to be a little thing, and it'll click. It'll click, and then you hit this brass tab here, and it will release and drop the globe plate. But that's unfortunately not the case. It looks like it snapped at one time, so I'm going to remove the globe plate. Well, the globe anyway. You know, it's not that important that it works properly. I mean, I can always find another globe plate for this. They made a lot of number 20s. I can ask some of the other friends that are my, collecting buddies and say, hey, do you have a number 20 globe plate? But first we'll light this guy. And I'll turn this around so you can watch what I do. All right. Oh, I should probably turn the wick up, right? Now the cone is brass, and so is the burner. All right. Well, this is not usually the ideal way of lighting one of these, because they have a lift mechanism, but since it's kind of broken, that's probably the best way to do it. Uses less hands. I only have 2. Anyways, look at that. Ooh, look at that. I mean, really, come on. Isn't that great? Do you not want this? I know you do. Well, too bad. You can't. It's mine. Uh-huh. I know. I'm terrible. Anyways, let's get that down so we can have that off to the side a little bit. And we'll talk about CT Ham a little bit. We'll have him peeking around the corner, because this one takes a lot of space up. But anyways, these are about the same period. This one's a little later. This one has the little brass pull ring on top. See? Very early style. This one has the flat-sided ring with the longer clip. So this one would be 1906 or 7, right around there. Anyway, CT Ham. Kind of the ideal lantern. Now, there's a lot of manufacturers out there that existed at the same time, and a lot of them have different designs, and they're really interesting. And us collectors, we like interesting. We like things that are different than the norm. Now, CT Ham manufactured a lot of lanterns. They were easily the stiffest competitor to Dietz. R.E. Dietz was a big deal. And they they sold a lot of lanterns, and they advertised the crud out of their merchandise early on. They wanted to be the big #1 game in town, and brother, they did. They had 2 factories. After the fire of 1897, they consumed SG&L, which at the time was kind of a cousin company to R.E. Dietz. Now, I believe in the early 90s, they had some holdings with Dietz, or Dietz had holdings with SG&L, because as you can see, some of the examples of the square tube lanterns that SG&L eventually designed were pretty much Dietz patents. All of them. They all look the same. They shared similar model numbers. Similar model names. So you had a Dietz Victor, you had an SG&L Victor, you had a Dietz side lift, you had an SG&L side lift, you have a Dietz safety, SG&L safety. They all shared a lot of similar models. Some slightly different, subtle design changes. Essentially the same lantern. They both had crystals. They both had, dash lanterns, number 13 dash lanterns, all that stuff. They did. They mirrored each other. Well, SG&L mirrored Dietz because, they had, business relations, I should say, because other people that try to imitate Dietz says, they had a legal team, boy, how did they did. And they would send out cease and desist letters and all this stuff. Bull was definitely subject to that. They had square tubes and similar profiles as the Dietz lanterns of the 1890s, and they just kept getting, sued by Dietz for patent infringement, copyright infringement, all that stuff. Mayros suffered the same, but they just didn't care. They just kept paying off Dietz, and that's why they went away earlier than not. That's why it's really hard to find Mayros lanterns. They just didn't. They didn't produce as much as Dietz did, and whatever. But they are really cool. I do want a Mayros for sure. Anyhow, Charles Trafton Ham, amazing visionary industrialist of the 19th century, Civil War veteran. Yeah, he fought in the American Civil War, I believe, for the North. And let's see here. He was the president of SG&L for a while. And then in 1886, he branched off and opened his own lantern company, which was C.T. Ham. C.T. stands for Charles Trafton. Ham is his last name. So there you go. And they were founded in Rochester, New York, and in 86. And the very first examples of Ham lanterns are very hard to find. They're very collectible. They had some different designs, very crude, early style. Round tube, rolled metal, soldered, round tube design, kind of like the early Dietz tubulars, kind of similar to that. Patch corners instead of joints, right? Pin lift design, all that stuff. Bales attached to the top of the cross tube. Pretty early tubular design, but his own patents. Cool stuff, really cool stuff. Hard to find the early stuff. It really is. There's a few things that crop up ever so often, and they always go for some decent money. But Ham, one of his great traits is that he definitely promoted from within the company. So if he saw some employee experimenting with his own designs, Charles's designs, he would watch them and say, "Why would you do that? Show me why you think this is a better way." He would listen to them, and they would offer their design improvements. And you can see some of those out there. Some of the late 80s, early 90s Ham lanterns, there's a few variants that are very hard to find because they weren't overly produced. And they were just kind of trial things that just happened to get produced to a limited number. Say, hey, we're going to make this, and if it sells really well, then we keep making it. If not, then we discontinue it, type of deal, right? So I know some collectors out there have some very rare and incredible CT Ham lanterns, and things that I've never seen. I have one. It's a top lift. So there's a little bracket on the side of a collar on the smoke bell, and then there's a little brass tab on the top of the crossbar or cross tube, and you pull it up and locks into place and lifts the globe, and the globe plate is held to the bottom of the globe with little springs. It's really cool. Very, very rare example. I used to have it out here, but it's now in the house. It's a favorite Ham lantern. But I'll have to bring it back out and show it to you guys in another video. But anyway, just cool stuff. There was definitely some Ham patents that infringed or tread on Dietz infringement, well, Dietz designs like the OK and some of the other top lift designs that they came out in the 90s. And Dietz says, hey, that's too similar to ours, stop it. And Ham's like, okay, I guess. So they had to stop. Charles was a pretty interesting guy. He was a pretty decent guy. He believed in his employees and his workforce, which is rare for that time, because in the Industrial Revolution, it was common knowledge that a lot of industrialists were quite cruel, and they had poor working conditions, and they worked their employees to the bone. Yeah, especially the railroads. Railroads are a whole nother video. Anyway, but that's Ham, and then he eventually passed on in, I want to say 1910, 11, right around there. And then his son took responsibility of the company and sadly passed. I'm not sure of his age, but Charles was old. He was in the Civil War, so he definitely was up there in years and passed away. I'm not sure of what, if not just old age. And then, of course, this was in the early 1900s, so it was anyone's guess. I mean, disease was rampant. But, yeah, his son took over the company and eventually passed on in 1913, and Dietz consumed the company, and the rest is history. So they haven't made these lanterns for over 110 years, close to it. And, yeah, these are amazing pieces. They can be found. The sad thing is they are numerous. So sometimes you can find these big cold blasts for a very fair amount of money. Sadly, these, not so much. I got very, very lucky on this thing. I think a lot of people slept on it, and I scored it for a very fair price, which I will not disclose. Some of you know, but that's our secret. Anyways, that's the only reason why I was able to get it, because it wasn't $300-400. That's right. These usually can retail for $250 and up. Especially in good condition with Japanning left and good tin. This is a very fine example. I'm very, very lucky to have it. Now the globe's unmarked. Originally it had a Ham Cold Blast matchless globe with the bullseye lens mounted in the glass, in the globe. Yeah, there was one piece. Those are very hard to find. Yeah, and if I had one, I wouldn't burn it because they're prone to cracking because of the stress of mounting a heavy glass lens in the globe. Those do tend to crack. So if I had one that was in good shape, I wouldn't burn it. But even though these were, oh, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. What's the purpose? What was the application these were used for? Well, if you watch a lot of old 50s Western movies, you'll see them outside of on porches, outside of front doors or entrances. You'll see them, hanging in buildings as well, on the wall, because they have a wall attachment. Let me show you. So there's a little hook. See a little wire hook right there? You can hang it on the wall, and there's also a clip here. There's a dash clip, so you could clip it to a dashboard of a wagon. Yeah. Or you could use it as an inspector lantern. That's why it has this really nifty handle. See? Yeah, and it has a little notch in it, so you could use your pointer and just carry it. It's very comfortable. It's very comfortable. It's well designed. And that's why I'm telling you guys, CT Ham, quality stuff. You can't miss with a CT Ham lantern. And look at that flame. Have you seen it move? Have you seen that thing flicker at all? And besides when I moved it, but I mean, just sitting there, it's perfect. It's a perfect flame. This is, okay. That, my friends, is the gold standard of flames, okay? That's the shape you want, ideally. I wish I could get that shape on all my two-wheelers, but I can't, because they all have different characteristics. They all burn fine, but that flame can only be really achieved, maybe with a Dietz Blizzard or another cold blast that they made, or a CT Ham. That's right. That's right. So here we are. 110 years since Dietz bought them this year. Can you believe that? 110 years this year? 2024? 110 years ago was 1914. Wow. And these were made before that. Good 10 years at least. Almost. But anyway, they're still here being enjoyed in the 21st century. Can you imagine that? These things 110 years old now plus. And Charles Trafton Ham has been gone for 120 years? No. Sorry. Yeah, 120 years. 120 years, no, 118 or 19. Anyways, you get it. He's been gone for a long time. But imagine his surprise. And maybe the pride that would come with that surprise, that his creations, his designs, his patents are being enjoyed by a people so far into the future that he could only imagine what it would have been like today. Back in those days, the 2000s was space travel, living on the moon, and all sorts of crazy Jules Verne ideas and thoughts and hopes of a very advanced civilization where cars flew and people used electricity for everything. You know, that's kind of true. But I mean, to know that these old tools that his company created so long ago are still being collected and used and enjoyed. I mean, that's kind of fun to think about, especially late at night and you're looking at that little flame there and you're just like, wow, that's the same flame that somebody looked at so long ago, before most of us or all of us were even thoughts in our ancestors' eyes. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's one of the reasons why I gravitate to the old stuff. It's fun to use something that is this old, and it's kind of a bridge. It bridges a gap, history-wise, to that time, that people, that civilization to now, and it's kind of neat. You know, I think a lot. Maybe I overthink, but it's fun stuff regardless. Anyway, CT Ham, Searchlight, number 20, and this number 2 Cold Blast. It's actually the same burner. It's a number 2 burner and cone. Yeah, very similar in design, but, you know, same globe, all that. But this is definitely the powerhouse when it comes to light projection because of the reflector. Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, friends, we're running over time, and our battery is getting a little on the low side, but thanks again for tuning in once again this week. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your subscriptions and following the channel, and we're going to try to do another field trip soon. I have to figure out what that will be, but I do want to do another little excursion to maybe somewhere that would be interesting and fun. Now, in April, I hope to do a camp out. We might just do that. We might do a camp out up to Crystal Lake for my birthday, and it'll be fun. And I hope to have a few good friends along for the ride. So, but I'll keep you posted if I think of something sooner than later. All right, everybody. Well, have a great rest of your week and weekend, and we'll see you again with another video next week. All right. Bye-bye.